Whatever happened to one of the biggest teen idols of the 70s, the lead singer of TV's Partridge Family, a man who couldn't walk down the street without being mobbed by his fans? Whatever happened to David Cassidy? Well, he says he's become a victim of his own fame. I have details coming up.
Casey's Coast to Coast. American Top 40.
Now the hit by the group whose lead singer is primarily an actor. It's a group that's already had 3 smash singles since they started recording together last fall. But their lead singer's primary interest and training was not as a singer. As an actor, he'd appeared on TV in Marcus Welby, MD, Medical Center, Ironside, the FBI, Adam 12, Mod Squad, The Survivors, and Bonanza. But he doesn't do those shows anymore. He's got his own series to worry about. At number 11 this week, here's David Cassidy with the Partridge Family. And I'll meet you halfway.
I'll meet you halfway.
I'll meet you halfway. The Partridge Family at number 11, up 7 notches this week on American Top 40.
American Top 40.
We're counting down the hits the way they're ranked on Billboard's national charts. Now the current hit by the current top fan mail puller in the business. He's the lead singer of a very popular group that makes hit records and has a hit television show. Here are a couple of samples of the mail that he gets from some of his young admirers. Dear David, I've always dreamed I was going steady with you, but now I blush whenever I think about it. I heard that you're 20 years old. Well, he's actually 21 now. Here's another letter. Dear David, I hope my letters have been getting to you. I'm just wondering because I haven't gotten any back from you. If you think I have a boyfriend, I don't. And here's one more. Dear David, I thought you sounded like a nice person, and I really don't meet up with nice people. Do you kind of wonder how a 21-year-old teen idol reacts to fan mail like that? Well, pretty admirably, I think. Here's what he says. There are a lot of people out there who care. They see me as something, and for me to destroy that image would hurt them. I feel a responsibility toward them. Well, those are the words of the Partridge Family's lead singer and America's #1 teen idol, David Cassidy. The Partridge Family and I Woke Up in Love this morning at number 25. It moved up 10 positions this week on AT40.
American Top 40.
Now the current hit by the superstar whose avid fans find him and hound him wherever he is and whatever he's doing. There's no way he can go out in the street like anybody else. He has to have his phone number changed about once a month. And twice in the past year, he's had to move to a new house because they found him. Now, here's the capper. He was in the hospital some time ago for a gallbladder operation. The little darlings found him there, too, and broke into his room while he was being fed intravenously. But there's a happy ending. He recovered, recorded a beautiful song, and this week it's number 10. Here's David Cassidy. After 5 weeks, it breaks into the top 10 on AT40. At number 10 now, moving up 1, David Cassidy's Cherish.
American Top 40.
Now on AT40, the debut song by the singing teen idol whose voice was dubbed in by another singer on the first show of the TV series he stars in. The producers of the program didn't know he could sing when they cast him in the part, and they really didn't care. What they were concerned about was his acting ability. In motion pictures, when an actor who can't sing is required to, they just have him synchronize his lip movements with a song that was pre-recorded by a professional singer. Well, when they made the pilot in December of 1969, it was someone else's voice coming out of the artist's mouth. A few months later, after the series had been bought by ABC Television, and they started shooting the rest of the episodes, the producers discovered that their young star could very well do his own singing. But in the pilot, which in September 1970 became the first on-the-air episode of The Partridge Family, you were hearing somebody else as you watched David Cassidy sing. But now, as David debuts at number 35, I'm going to let you hear his actual voice, and you can watch anybody you want to. How can I be sure? If you think you heard it before, you did. The Rascals did it years ago. David Cassidy debuts at number 35 on American Top 40.
American Top 40.
Now the current hit by the big hit maker who until 2 years ago had earned all his fame strictly as an actor on such TV shows as Marcus Welby, Mod Squad, Adam 12, Ironside, and Bonanza. Well, he's still an actor, but for the past couple of years, it's been on his own weekly TV series. It was on this show that he first established his identity as a singer. He became the teen idol who took over the top spot in that category from Bobby Sherman, and lately has been in the process of handing the crown over to Donny Osmond. In the number 38 position in our countdown this week, here's Partridge Family star David Cassidy. Some raw rock and roll from David Cassidy at number 38. He debuts with Rock Me Baby. This is Casey in Hollywood, and once a week with American Top 40, you find out where your favorite songs are in the national music scene. American Top 40. This is Casey on AT40 in Hollywood. Now, let's find out whatever happened to one of the biggest teen idols of the 70s, David Cassidy. From 1970 to 1974, actor David Cassidy was one of the stars of the popular TV series, The Partridge Family. In the show, David had a successful singing career as the character of Keith Partridge, and the Partridge Family records featuring David and his real-life stepmother, Shirley Jones, were big sellers and included a number 1 single, I Think I Love You. As a solo act, David Cassidy hit the top 40 4 times and the top 10 once with a song called Cherish. In live performances, David Cassidy could rarely be heard over the screams of his fans, and he couldn't walk down a city street without being mobbed. David says it was that extreme popularity which drove him from the music business. He recently told Smash Hits magazine that the end came after a sold-out concert at New York's Madison Square Garden. He said that night he played to 22,000 people, with another 40,000 outside hoping to catch a glimpse of him. But as soon as the show was over, he was bundled into a car and driven to a run-down motel outside the city. David said, quote, I sat in that motel room thinking how an hour before I'd been a star, but no hotel would take me because of the fans. I couldn't go out. I couldn't do anything. I asked myself if this was worth it, and the answer was no. End of quote. So David Cassidy dropped out of the music business. In the years since, he's acted in an occasional film, in a TV series, and in a couple of stage plays. Mostly, he does what he likes to do, which is raise thoroughbred horses at his ranch in Kentucky. He says that today, at age 34, he might try making a comeback, this time as a singer of romantic ballads. And that's whatever happened to one of the biggest teen idols ever, David Cassidy. I'm Casey Kasem, and the countdown continues.
American Top 40.
I'm Shadoe Stevens. Next on AT40 is a singer whose comeback hit debuted last week, exactly 20 years to the week after his first Top 40 hit debuted. That was the last week of October 1970, when he was the lead singer of the Partridge Family on a song called I Think I Love You. It went on to hit number 1. 20 years later, David Cassidy moves up 2 notches to number 34 with Lying to Myself. David Cassidy climbs from 36 to number 34, his second week on American Top 40 with Lying to Myself. It's his 12th Top 40 hit.
American Top 40.
With all the hard-hitting hit facts and figures, I'm Shadoe Stevens, AT40. Now here's a man who was the brunt of some jokes by a couple of LA DJs, and it led to his comeback in the Top 40. That's David Cassidy's story, and David told us how the whole thing happened.
It was on my birthday about 1 year and 5 months ago, and I had the radio on, and I was listening to these radio personalities who were rather outrageous, and they were being very sarcastic, and I suppose probably indulging their imaginations to a point of, I wonder what David Cassidy's doing now. He's probably, got a couple of chicks, enjoying a good life, drinking champagne, and I thought, now is the time I really should address this and dispel the myth about me. So I picked up the phone, and I did kind of the homeless, tragic David Cassidy. I did, I'm living in a garbage can and things haven't been going too good for me. So they saw I had a sense of humor about my fame. So I went down and did about 3 hours on their radio show about a week or so later. And I played 3 demos that I had made at my house. By the end of the 3 hours, I had 3 offers from 3 different labels. One of them was Enigma.
Well, Enigma signed him up, and the first release from that album debuted on American Top 40 3 weeks ago. This week, his comeback hit climbs 2 notches to number 27. Here's David Cassidy and Lying to Myself. You're with the Shadoe on AT40. You ever meet your hero or idol? Sometimes it can be a big surprise, not what you expected. And that was the way it was for David Cassidy. He's been in or around show business his whole life. But when he met the biggest rock and roll idol of all time, he learned the lesson of his life.
Elvis was one who bought the dream. He did it, achieved it, and ultimately it killed him. When I met him, I thought, this ain't going to be me in 15, 20 years. And it was one of the reasons, and I wouldn't say that was the reason that I decided, but I got a little glimpse of the future, like this could be you, and thought, no. When you reach that kind of success where you can't walk down the street, you can't go in a restaurant, you can't go anywhere, and you have to be hidden to get out of your home, it becomes too much of a price to pay. And that's why I retired.
That was the day David Cassidy met the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. And now, after almost 18 years, David is back in the top 40, holding at number 27 on AT40.
The hits